Good. Um, okay, so you remember I was telling you about the seller who she was very motivated. The house would first what it belonged to her brother, then it belonged to her mom. Her brother died, then her mom, she's in hospice and she doesn't live in the state. She wants to get rid of the house and everything like that. So, um, I made the offer, like I told you, the 40,000. I was supposed to call her back, like you said, and to lower it to 35. But she had other investors who were really like hounding this lady, and so I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it because you know they were just like all over her. So when it all boiled down to it, the person offered $5,000 more, and she actually went with the other person. And so I mean, I did the best I could as far as like building rapport with her, and I did let her know that we will pay the closing costs, and we're gonna put the $100 earnest money deposit and everything. So I guess I want to know is there anything that I could have done to prevent that from happening? I
Yeah,
didn't want to offer
yeah, obviously.
$5,000. I didn't want
It's
to
pretty easy.
offer what?
Chevelle, this is really easy.
What?
Sellers decide to go with somebody based on certainty and confidence, right? That's
Hmm.
number one. They were probably more certain than you, and they were probably more confident than you. That's not a dig. That's just the truth. Now, number two, most
Okay.
important part. When anybody asks, because I've been on the receiving end and the other end of this, how did this person get a deal and not me? Usually the other person's asking that, and it's always it's literally one thing. It's not even the confidence thing. That person got in front of the seller and was able to get a contract signed. Speed. You lost because of speed. That was it.
Okay.
Speed
Okay.
and certainty. Usually, listen, if it's purely on price, you'll never win.
No.
Like, because that's where people go to MLS and realtors. But in these situations, it definitely, he's correct on it. Speed and like certainty with it flowing. And the minute it
Hmm.
starts getting chopped up, I always look at it like when I have other investors, I
Yeah.
never let it rattle me or bother me. And I never switch how I operate based on them. Now, I know that speed's going to beat out most of the others. And if you have to get in line with them, it's a pain in the butt. Now, here's the good news is there's no guarantee they're going to be able to close on it. So keep it on a positive note. Sometimes we all lose out on deals. I've never met a wholesaler that did not get a deal.
Let me ask
like
a question
accepted.
for her.
Yeah.
Did you condition the seller before you met with them?
I I
Yes or no?
didn't. No,
Okay.
I
So
forgot.
what?
So that's
To.
that's part of the certainty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it definitely helps out the speed because
Yeah.
here's what happens. Like, guys, the reality of wholesaling is 75% of wholesalers will stall, not 75% of sellers will stall you if you let them. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
It's a huge decision for them. Like, they're not used, like, it's usually their biggest asset they're selling. So, what do you do when you get overwhelmed? Have you ever got overwhelmed with a decision, especially financial, personally?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do?
Freak out.
You sleep on it. Let me think about it. Let me talk to this person. Let me talk to my mom, my dad, my boyfriend, my girl, whatever it is. And that's what you naturally do because it's easier at the time when you're stressed about something. It's easier not to make a decision on it because it doesn't hurt as much. And that's what happens, though, even though they need to sell it. So do you understand how the upfront agreement goes? Have you tried
Yes,
it?
I did it with the second seller that I'm about to tell you guys about,
Okay.
which was a much better outcome.
So I'm
I,
just telling you, like doing that, the reason why we teach you guys this, do you know how many sellers I botched and screwed up? Probably millions of dollars of deals. And it took me years to put this together. And I finally taught it to him. I'm just like, listen, before you go in, and then he got caught in the maybe land. And that's how we go, listen, we have to come up with a systematic way to try to prevent this. It doesn't prevent it 100%, but it knocks out about 85% of the crap you put up at the end, because you make that person accountable, you make them give an agreement, and you know when two people know something to be true and you call them on it, they can't run and hide on you. And for that reason alone, you just kind of walk through it. And by the way, you won't get 100% of the deal. Like sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes they don't connect with you. Sometimes it does just come down to money with people. But often when I get outbidded on a deal, sometimes other investors, they get hyper aggressive. They go, okay, well, they offered you 30, I'll give you 35. And they don't think about their numbers. And sometimes they can't make that 35 work. And keep in mind, what's going on in the market right now with real estate prices?
They're going down.
They're going down. So this could backfire on them, and it could open a back door for you. So I was still, you wish them the best, and then you follow up in 2 weeks or a week, whatever you want to do with them, and see if that deal goes through.
Yeah.
She texted me and she's like, Chevelle, if the deal falls through, I'm going to give you a call.
And if the deal falls through, you are going to pay a substantially lower price. I'm just telling you, because keep in mind, here's what happens when somebody puts on a contract for 35. How much did you offer? 30?
40.
40.
And they offer her 45.
Okay. So whatever number they put it on, if it doesn't work and stick, guess what? Now you have data what you can't buy it for.
Yeah.
So why would you give her the same contract price if you know it didn't work out and the contract fell through? It's the perfect opportunity for you to get a price reduction and kind of some justification for what you're doing. But honestly, I'd rather you set the price right. When the market was going like crazy up, we used to sit back and wait because people would overbid all the time. So now they're overbidding because they're using old school tactics. Some of these deals are going to come back to you. So just like, don't burn your bridges like as much as you want to, like you get really ticked off, because you put in a lot of time, emotion, and it hurts a little bit. And that's natural. That's why once you have more quantity, and understand if you're working with 10 sellers, a certain amount of them are just, they're going to do this to you. So you do everything you can to prevent it. So tell us about the second one. See how that one went.
Okay, so this one is really good. He built. Here's the issue. He started building the house, and then he hurt his back, and he used the rest of the money that he was supposed to use to build the house to live on.
Okay.
So the house is not finished. He said that it would take maybe $40,000 to $50,000 to finish the house.
Okay.
But he doesn't. He has it listed for 165, and he said that the lowest that he could come down is 140, because he said if he goes any lower, he's going to be losing money. So I don't really think it's a good deal.
140 because of the equity he has, or because of what he bought it for?
No. He owns it, and it's on 3 acres of land. So he owns the land and owns the house. But the house, he spent the money. He started building the house, right? He got hurt and he couldn't finish building it. And the money that he was supposed to take to buy materials and finish building the house, he spent all of that money. So now he wants to just sell this half-finished house.
Is this, so if he sells it for the offer you gave him, he's not losing money, he's gaining money. It's not your fault that he's in the situation.
Yeah.
And he's trying to put that on you. You know,
Okay.
You have to pay me more because I feel bad, because I messed up. That's not how it works.
Yeah. So,
it's not like, well, I'll let you go ahead, but it's not like, hey, I owe $50K on this house, I need to get 50 just so I can get out of this thing. It's not that.
So is there a mortgage on the house?
No, he doesn't have a mortgage.
So keep in mind
too. Like
sometimes when people do this, I get this all the time. I need to get $100,000 from the proceeds of sale so I can pay for my sister's operation and I can put my mom in the retirement home.
And we go to Disney.
And it's like, so understanding, it's like, I get it, and that what they're really telling you, this is my wish. And so you got to use a technique when some people get like divided on that. Number one, first of all, if they don't have a mortgage restricting them for that, number one, that's not your problem, because the market's always going to do what? They're going to evaluate the deal based on the property, not on someone's personal situation. So I always tell people, listen, I can appreciate that, and I want you to take care of your mom and so, but we need to see what the house can afford. And you just kind of bring it back center, like, because I can't fund all this. I'll see what the house can afford to help you out. But in the end of the day, no matter who he sells it with, if it's on market, off market, people are going to look at the house, look at the amount of work they do, and then they're going to write an offer based on that. They don't care about his personal situation. And it's not that you don't care, but you can't let it affect your offer because it doesn't make sense. So no matter what, whoever makes an offer on that, they're all going to have the same thought process of like, okay, well, I get it. That's like saying, hey, Zach, I got $50,000 and I'm going to build out this custom kitchen. And then I got distracted and I bought this nice new Chevrolet Camaro. Yeah. But listen, I still need the same price here, like, so I can drive away with my Camaro. You can't drive away with the car and get that too. So you can't have your cake. What do they call it? You can't have your
cake and eat it too.
I love cake.
Have some cake tomorrow.
Wedding, yeah. So listen, you like people's stories like that, you have to show empathy and care. But like when you're writing numbers, you can't even consider that stuff because when you go to sell it, are you going to give them the same story? Because people don't care. So you said, was that one on market? Is it like a FISBO or how's he trying to?
That's a FISBO, and he has it for one.
So I'm going to hear it tell you that one's going to sit in your follow-ups.
Okay.
And his offers are only going to go down, and his motivation is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just keep a connection with them. Mm-hmm. So when people are like too far off with stuff like that, but I know the property's motivated, but the seller's not quite motivated. Guess what's going to make him motivated what's going to make him motivated?
Time.
There you go. So you just need to put a little time in the bank, just tickle like a follow-up schedule, and then go find other motivated sellers. And by December, like by the end of the year, by the way, guys, December is probably one of my favorite months to wholesale because
you're in Florida. So all the snowbirds come down, they decide to get rid of the house.
Yeah, everybody makes decisions.
Yeah.
It's the holidays. People need money for it. And then people make their year-end resolutions. And usually if they're going to commit to sell the house, they do it by the end of December. The last 2 weeks of December are phenomenal. So I would put him on a follow-up because I think you have a high probability because no one's going to make him an offer. And guess what happens over time with his offers?
They're going to go down.
They're going down. So like you're in a good situation with it. Remember, here's what I say all the time. Sometimes when people say no to you, they do you a huge favor. Like some projects just aren't worth it. They just aren't. So I'm going to tell you, he's going to have to take even a deeper discount to get a cash buyer to buy that project. They got to know they're going to make money because they're going to spend a lot of time and money. And so they have to have enough spread there. The last 4 or 5 years, people are buying stuff and they expect to get like a 10% return. It's much different today. So my short career, I did rehabs. I wouldn't do anything less than a 20-25% spread minimum. And like that number got diluted. So like you go ahead and calculate a number of like what people, as an investor, if I bought that and put it all the rehab and everything, whatever I've spent total plus my time, I would expect a 25% return. And I'm telling you, they are going to beat him up hard on those numbers. So you can kind of be the savior and then you go find a cash buyer that's willing to take on a project like that. But follow up, I agree, time is going to be the resolution on that one. And on the first one, doing your upfront agreement will at least minimize your stalls at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you got it. But keep going. More quantity, you're learning. And that's the thing is by you taking action, like you're firing your brain on all cylinders. And it's like neurologically, it's like, oh my God, this and this. And that's how you learn. By learning in a theory in a classroom, especially in a hotel, it's hard to put 2 and 2 together until you feel like you make a mistake. We just don't want to make a financial mistake. And guys, when people say no, sometimes they do you a huge favor. Like the deal just didn't work. Come back later and get it cheaper, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So great job, Lo. Good job on taking action and just keep moving forward. Keep the thrusters going and keep shooting up.
Okay, will do. Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great one.
You too. Bye.
You just got to take the action and do it, right?
You just got to do it. Like you get the weirdest things that come across you. And like,
gosh, yes.
I got to tell you, like most wholesaling deals, like you can break down and like they fit a certain mold. But like, I still have people this day just surprise the heck out of me, man. They just like, oh, I didn't see that coming. So guys, just so you know, here's how the cash buyer mentality works. They feel like the market is like falling off of a cliff. They're over exaggerating it. And you guys know it because they're a little bit frightened. And they're like, okay, when all the wholesalers start bringing me deals and I don't ask for it, I need to get pickier. And they should get pickier, but they get extreme and they start exaggerating how deep they can get it. And honestly, they're going to have a heck of a run in 2023. But eventually, one of them's going to go, well, I'm going to pay a little bit more so I don't have to wait in line. And then what happens is eventually it catches on, and then they all start going, okay, I'm going to go up and more aggressive because we're making so much money on these 3 or 4 projects we're working on. But that only happens over time, and I want you to understand that. So don't sit around and like wait for it. I get it. They are way undercutting the market, and they're doing it. Why? Because they can. But this won't last forever. But you guys can go out and contact 1 million motivated sellers and then at least get the follow-ups in your pipelines, get the low-hanging fruit, and just keep going because this is going to compound all the way through the end of this year, definitely beginning of next year and all through next year. So go ahead and start building up your pipeline. We're talking about getting a deal January 1. The actions you're taking today are going to dictate if you have a deal on January 1 or not.